Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be ranking every single League One club's opening month of the season, the end of July and the entirety of August, really just to sort of take stock. All of that is going to happen in a tier list. You can see the tier list on the screen right now. Right, so it's time we break down all of those tiers individually, starting off with the bottom tier. Nobody wants to be in this category. Restart button. Can we restart the entire season? It's been that bad. Can we just hit that restart button and do it all over again? Not an ideal tier. Nobody wants to be in it. However, breaking news, somebody is in that tier. Next up, poor month. It's been a poor month. It's just not been an ideal August and, of course, back end of July as well. Average start. It's been okay, meh, we can deal with it, it's going to have to do. It's not been amazing, it's not been awful. It's sort of just been a little bit in between. Above that, we'll take that. We'll take it. It's been a fairly good, I'd say good start to the season, a good opening month. And finally, the top tier, the top category you can be put in after a month of football in Sky Bet League One, cracking little August. And of course, I'm not going to keep saying it, there was a round of fixtures on the final week of July, but it's going to be August. It just sounds better and it's easier to put in a tier list. Cracking little August is the best tier, and again, like I say, there's going to be at least one team in that tier. Right, starting off then with the first team, Burton Albion. Now, I don't really think there'll be too many complaints about my selection here. They're going to have to go straight in that bottom tier, restart button. It has not been a good start to this campaign whatsoever. Jimmy Ford-Hasselbank's side are really quite struggling. Rock bottom of the league, 1 point in their first 6 games, yet to win a game as well. They're really not in a good position. 18 goals conceded in those 6 games as well. I mean, huge fear of relegation, only a month in. That might be a little bit reactionary, but I generally do believe the way that this is going, it can't get much worse. They're conceding and shipping way too many goals. Like I say, we do a roundup every single week. They've had a 4-4 draw against Accrington. They lost 4-3 last weekend against Cambridge. I mean, weirdly, they're actually scoring quite a few goals. I think they've actually scored probably the most amount of goals out of all the sides that are down there in that relegation zone this early in the season. However, the goals that they're conceding and the amount of those goals that they're conceding, 18 in total, I mean, it's a real problem. 18-6 is a horrific ratio and one that ultimately will get you relegated. If you continue conceding the amount of goals at this rate, you will be down there, no doubt, come the end of the season. It's not been a good start to the season whatsoever. It's not been a good opening month. For me, they've got to be in restart button. If you've got any Burton fans that maybe disagree with me there, let me know. I'm intrigued to see it, but for me, only one category for Burton. It's got to be that bottom one, restart button for me. Right, moving on then to Morecambe. We're not going to go in league table order, but we're going to start off with Burton and Morecambe, because for me, there's a few similarities. Not completely, but there's a few. They're not going to go in restart button, so there's not a similarity there, but they are lower down in the table and are also a side who have not won a game yet this season. So that is a similarity between them and Burton. A little bit better than Burton, though. The problem that Morecambe have got is one that we did actually highlight really in the predictions episode. I know this is only a month in, very early days. We did a predictions like we always do at the start of the season. I did sort of fear there would be a little bit of a drop-off from last year. Last year, they just about stayed in the league, and that was all down to one man, and that was Cole Stockton. I thought if Cole Stockton can score 26 goals like he did last year, which did single-handedly keep them in the league, they've always got a chance. If you've got a striker who can score that many goals, you have got a chance. That's just the reality of it. Now, he's actually handed in a transfer request since then, and that for me is, and that was in August, I'm almost counting that as well, not just on results, not just on the way they've played and performances, that is part of August. We'll come on to transfers as well for the other sides that have been made in this month, and that will come into consideration. But with Morecambe, their star striker, their main man, not wanting to be at the football club anymore, I mean, it's also, I think he has been out with an injury of some sort as well, so he hasn't been playing. That really hasn't helped them. It's not been a great month for them. It really hasn't. Now, like I said, they weren't expected to be sort of putting up many trees, but the goal difference, again, it isn't horrific. They've actually got only a -4 goal difference. They have got the second worst XG in the league as well, so that does come down to the fact they're not scoring enough goals or creating enough chances. Again, we come back to the fact that Cole Stockton, he's not firing, he doesn't want to be at the football club anymore, and he was a big part of their success last year. Not having those chances being created either will be a concern. Respectively, I did actually think, to be honest, they probably would be fighting for their lives this season in terms of relegation battle, and they probably will be. For me, it hasn't been a complete restart, but it hasn't been a great month. I'm going to go with a poor month for Morecambe. Right, let's move on then to another side. Let's go in non-league table order. Moving on to Cheltenham now. A side last year who did really, really well. Now, we'll come on to the tier in just a second, actually. I'll run through a few of the notes I've got here for Cheltenham. Only one win out of their 6 so far this season, but they actually have had some pretty decent scorelines. They haven't been horrific. The games they've lost, they haven't been embarrassed, actually. They haven't lost by more than 2 goals this season. They faced Peterborough, Barnsley, Pompey and Oxford. It's not been a very nice fixture list for them. They have, of course, dropped quite a few points from those games. Like I say, only 1 win from 6. A good win against Exeter away from home 2 weeks ago was that 3 points that they earned. There actually isn't really a huge problem either. They are creating chances, and I think they eventually will score goals. If they catch up with their XG, they will be in a good position, and they will start, bagging in those goals. Of course, will be very, very important for them. Alfie May had a brilliant campaign last year. A month into this season, he hasn't quite hit that level of form that we saw last year. I'm sure it will come into top striker, somebody that, of course, like I say, last season was exceptional. The goals he scored, the amount of goals, but also the type of goals and the importance of those goals were absolutely key. So if he finds his scoring boots, which hasn't happened in this opening month of the season, I think they'll be absolutely fine. In terms of the way that they've been playing, I watched them against Oxford last week. They did, of course, lose that game 2-1. The performance level wasn't horrific. It wasn't bad at all. It was almost like 2 sort of average sides going head-to-head. They had some difficult decisions that went against them, the penalty being the big talking point. 2 red cards in that game as well. It was a little bit all over the shop. But, generally, they didn't look horrific. But they'll be annoyed about the fact they didn't get anything from that match. For me, it hasn't been a great month though. 1 win out of 6 isn't ideal, and for me, it's got to go in poor month. But it's close. It could be an average because you're not really expecting them to get many points out of those fixtures I just listed there. But 1 win from 6 is not ideal. For me, it's got to go in poor month there. So Shrewsbury Town next. I am going to put them in that poor month tier straight away. Now for my reasoning. Look, it isn't because I'm salty that I've got a prediction wrong here, but I did think they'd be my surprise package of the season. Unfortunately, so far they're letting me down. Things can change. We're only a month into this season, and things can change very, very quickly in Sky Bet League One. Just look at last season and the many years prior to that. Easily, things can change really, really quickly. However, frustrating. And of course, I'm not a Shrewsbury Town fan, so I imagine it's even more frustrating being a supporter of a football club that made some really, really good signings in the window that is still open. But I think going into the season, some of their summer transfer additions that they did make, and they did get over the line, Shipley, Dunkley, just to name a few, there were some many, many others as well. These were championship quality players in my eyes. Not all of them, but some of them were. And that squad looked much improved in terms of the quality of it generally, but also the depth as well looked much, much better. And I certainly did expect them to be in and around at least mid-table, maybe even pushing into sort of top 10. And we spoke to a few Shrewsbury Town fans before the start of the season. The call-in video is still on the channel now. We spoke to a Shrewsbury Town fan. I spoke to him about sort of my thoughts on it, whether or not he agreed. He's a fan. He knows the football club much better than I will ever know it. So I sort of wanted to see if he was sort of on the same page as I was in that sense. And he was. He thought they were going to have a really, really good season. Like I say, they still might be. They still might go on and have a brilliant, brilliant campaign. But what we can't argue with so far this season, there has been a level of disappointment. I'm looking at some of the statistics I've written down here. 6 points from a possible 18 is a problem. Inconsistency as well is a big issue. Only 1 win so far this season as well. 3 goals on the offence. They really are struggling. 3 goals in their opening 6 games. That's going to be a concern. There will be frustration around that football club, and it's got to change fairly quickly. Not because they've got time. Like I say, I don't want to contradict myself. They have got time. It's very, very early in the season, but so far, I feel that they could be doing much better, and they probably should be doing much better. And for that reason, they're going to go in that poor month tier. Let me know, Shrewsbury Town fans, in the comment section down below. Do you now agree with me? Do you maybe disagree with me now? I'm intrigued. So, MK Dons then next. Liam Manning's MK Dons, of course. How has their August gone? First 3 games of the month. Almost a month of 2 halves, if I can use that phrase. First 3 games of the season. First 3 games of August. It wasn't good. It really, really wasn't good. A really, really bad start to the season. Probably the worst possible start to the season. 3 defeats, no goals scored. A real, real problem. These next and last 3 games we've seen, much better, much improved. Actually unbeaten in their last 3, and much more like the Liam Manning side we saw last year. The one that was really free-flowing, extreme football, some people would call it. For me, it was growing pains for me. I think that was a bit of the issue. Scott Twine, such a key player last year, going to Burnley. Harry Darling, such a key centre-back in that back three that's now a back four. He's gone to Swansea. Change of formation, like I say. Some young players coming in. Players that haven't played in even the EFL League One for sure, ever in their career before. Very young players going down this sort of long-term, youthful future. That's sort of the direction they want to take the football club. Fair play to them. It will probably work in the long term, you'd like to think. Short term was always going to be the question. And like I say, the first 3 games, if that's going to be your growing pain transition, then I think that's going to be absolutely fine. Because I think if you look now, in those last 3, we've seen a much, much better MK Dons side outfit in terms of performance and in terms of result. 4-0 win over Morecambe last Saturday. That's exactly the sort of Liam Manning performance and result you saw last year. And they're hoping to sort of almost replicate that going into this one. And, of course, improving as well because they weren't able to get promoted via the playoffs. Unlucky, you'd say, coming third. If those new players can click, like I think they will be able to now, sort of gel and click and really get used to this division, the physicality of it, but also the tactical elements of what Liam Manning's trying to achieve, I think they're going to be absolutely fine. Now, controversially, I'm actually going to put them in average start. Maybe some people might put them in poor month because it hasn't been sort of what we expected from MK Dons in that sense. Those first 3 games, were half of the month. So, should you be judging in its complete entirety, which I think we still are doing. For me, it's an average start. It's an average start. The last 3 games have been much better. They're out of that relegation zone now. They're really climbing up the table. They continue on the consistency. They're trying to grow from those last 3. They're going to be fine for me. Average start is where I'm going to put them. Intrigued to see what MK Dons fans have got to say about that in the comment section down below. Right, let's move on then to Accrington. So Accrington, Stanley next, and a solid start for John Coleman's side. Unbeaten still in Sky Bet League One after 6 games, alongside Pompey and Ipswich, first and second in the league. They're in that category when it comes to being unbeaten in Sky Bet League One. Very, very impressive. The banana skin mentality that's been working for them year in, year out is only looking like it's going to continue. Look, the next improvement and the improvement that John Coleman will be looking sort of, I think, work on will be the fact they need to start turning those draws into wins. They have drawn quite a few games, hence why they are unbeaten, but still looking at around 11th or 10th. It's not bad, like I say, whatsoever. It's good. But turn those draws into wins. If they can start doing that, which I think they can start doing that, they will be in an exceptional position. They could be even higher than they are now and doing even better than they are as well. Some great points against Charlton. The late goals that they've been part of is just phenomenal, and an unbelievable thrilling Burton 4-4 as well. It's been certainly an entertaining start to the season and opening month for Accrington Stanley fans. And for that reason, alongside the fact they're having a really good season generally so far, I'm going to put them in the will take that category. The highest team so far in this tier list going in the will take that category. The first team in that tier. Right, let's move over next to Cambridge United. So, Cambridge United next then looks as though they're going to be embarking on another really enjoyable season. So far, I've been really, really impressed by Mark Bonner's side. Attractive style of play looks to be continuing. The quality of Sam Smith, Joe Ironside and many others is just improving week in, week out. And that is exactly what you want to see as a fan of Cambridge United and any football club, it must be said. Second season syndrome is not on the agenda whatsoever. Not even mentioned in a little notebook on Mark Bonner's desk. Not even a sniff of second season syndrome. Exactly what Cambridge United would have wanted. They will be looking to maybe improve that sort of quite high XG for goals against. It is a little bit too high sort of when you look at the statistics, but generally, if they continue their opposition not being able to score with those XG, it's not really a problem, but they will be looking to sort of try and improve that and cut that out going forward. For me, though, it's been a really, really good start to the season. No other category than we'll take that. A really, really positive one so far for Mark Bonner's Cambridge United side. So, Fleetwood Town next then. How do we analyse their opening month of the season? Of course, also the manager, Scott Brown's opening month as a manager in general. That must be mentioned. 6 games so far, 4 draws, but only losing 1 game. That's a really, really good set of statistics to have this early in the season. A lot of people expected Fleetwood to be relegated. I actually backed them. I thought some of the signings that they made were really, really quite impressive. I was a little bit wary maybe of Scott Brown not being a manager before, having literally no managerial experience. Could that cost him or maybe cost his job? Hopefully not. Seems as though so far it looks to be not going in that direction, which is brilliant for him and also for the football club in general. But I just think it's been a really good start. I mean, maybe really might be going too far, but it's been a good start. At least it's got to be seen as a good start. Many predicting a relegation battle, like I've already said, but points against Derby and Plymouth, these are sides that certainly were expected to be up there come the end of the year, especially now we've seen the sort of the business of Derby County and Plymouth having a really good start to the season. They beat Plymouth, they drew to Derby. These are really, really good points for me. So, yeah, really, really encouraging. I'm going to put them in the will take that category. Maybe I'm going a little bit over the top with Fleetwood, but I've been impressed. Really, really have been. I'm going to put them in there for their opening month analysis for this tier list now. So, Ipswich Town next, and they've had an exceptional start to the season. Kieran McKenna's side have started off with a flyer, an exceptional start to this campaign. Still unbeaten in League One, of course, alongside Pompey, who are one place above them in top spot, and Accrington Stanley, who we mentioned a second ago as well. Only 4 goals conceded and 12 goals scored. Some brilliant draws and wins in there as well. Bolton Wanderers and Barnsley, the ones that I do think will be taken note of. Expectation, ambition was always going to be a promotion push. Have they let that down? No, absolutely not. Really on track when it comes to that. For me, they've got to be in that top tier. Cracking little August for Kieran McKenna's Ipswich Town side. So, Oxford United next, and the club that I support, as you can see behind me just here. It's been a really quite strange start to the season. We've had poor performances, poor results, signs of improvement, a massive win on Saturday against Cheltenham, an injury crisis just to make it a little bit easier for us. It's been bizarre, really, really quite bizarre. It hasn't been a flying start whatsoever, but hopefully that result on Saturday that I mentioned there against Cheltenham will be the building block. It will be the start of a really, really good run. We certainly do need it. Like I say, inconsistency. We had a win against Cambridge, but even the performance in that wasn't ideal. Derby on the opening game of the season was a really difficult place to go. We looked okay. I'd say we looked fairly good actually at times, but the result wasn't what we wanted. Difficult results and difficult performances. You'd say against Morecambe and Lincoln at home. Poor is the word that comes to mind. It's been really bizarre. If you want me to actually analyse individually Oxford's season, that video is on the channel now, sort of digesting before the game on Saturday. That must be mentioned as well, because that win on Saturday against Cheltenham was really, really important. It was one of those ones where you come away and go, that feels massive, and hopefully it is. Bringing that into Burton on Saturday will be absolutely key. Going forward, look, that has been the issue. On the offence, that has been the problem. However, things should be, and hopefully, on the up now. But again, we're not looking at the future. We're looking at the past and the present, which, again, isn't what normally you get told. But that's what we're going to be doing here, analysing the opening month of the season. Look, it probably still has been a poor month. It could arguably go an average, but we're 17th in the league. The performances haven't been good enough, ultimately. For me, poor month, and the results haven't been much better either. That's the place I'm going to put Oxford United in this tier list. So, Plymouth Argyle's month then, how has that gone? Back-to-back wins as of recording, 4 wins out of their first 6 games of the season. It has been a good start to the season. Some impressive results against the likes of Barnsley, Peterborough, Forest Green and Bolton this year so far as well. Really looking like they're going to be in good stead to have another successful year. Unlucky last year not to be in that top 6, missing out on the final day. They need to improve, I think, in some certain areas. The recruitment has been really, really quite good. And so far this year, some big results against the clubs I just mentioned there. It has been a good start for Stephen Schumacher's side. For me, I think Plymouth fans are going to take that. They're going to be in that category. We'll take that, Plymouth Argyle. Let me know, Plymouth fans, in the comment section down below. How do you analyse your opening month of the season? For me, you're going to have to be in that category. But do let me know in the comment section down below. So it's safe to say Portsmouth really are having a brilliant start to the season. Off to a flyer, some people would be calling it. Another side unbeaten in the league as well. Only one of 3 sides still unbeaten at this point in the season. 14 points from a possible 18. 13 goals in 6 games. Defensively as well, not looking too bad either. 3rd best XG for goals against. Danny Cowley's side really are making things click so far during this season. Top of the league. After the month of August, they've got to be in that top category. Cracking little August that. Go and join Ipswich in that top category. A brilliant start to the season for Danny Cowley's men. So, Sheffield Wednesday next then. For me, I think it's been a really, really good start to the season. Not perfect, but I think really, really good. Lots of positives to take from this opening August. Only lost 1 game so far this season. That was a tough night at Peterborough with 10 men. The less said about that, the better. But generally, 4 wins from 6 games. Only 1 point from the top. Made some brilliant signings during the month of August as well. Myton, Wilkes and McGuinness have all come through the door during the month of August. I think both on and off the pitch has been a really positive month and a lot to build on going into the remainder of the season. I think I'd take that. Sometimes the best way of doing this is also putting yourself in the shoes of these clubs as a fan. I take that. I really, really would. Of course, there has been some negatives, and that'll have to be resolved from Darren Moore's side and the players. But you look at some of the results, 5-0 at the weekend against Forest Green Rovers, a point against Pompey. That looks like a really good point now when you look at how good they've done so far this year. They want to be competing in those promotion places, maybe even going for a title push come the end of the season, Sheffield Wednesday fans. That certainly is still on the cards. I take that. I really would take that. Not perfect, hence why they're not in that top category. But for me, I would certainly take that. And that's exactly where I'm going to put them on this tier list when ranking their August so far this season. So Wycombe Wanderers next then. For me, quite an unusual Gareth Ainsworth start. Not a normal start, you'd say. 9 goals conceded in 6 games is not an unusual trend at Wycombe at all. Inconsistency has been the problem. 3 defeats, 1 draw and 2 wins. Maybe a slow window could be the reason why they have had a slow start to the season. Maybe there could be a little bit of correlation there. Maybe a little bit of naive transfer business could have been the problem. Out of the race, absolutely not. 7 points is still not a bad tally to have when you look at 6 games in. But not usually how you sort of assess Wycombe after an opening month. But, you know, it's been average. I think that's exactly where I'm going to put them. Wycombe Wanderers, an average start to the season, straight in that tier there. So Michael Duff's Barnsley next then. Of course, intentions to get straight back into the Championship after their relegation from that division last season. Look, they still might be going for that playoff push and that promotion push. There's no reason why they can't be. It's very, very early days, of course. We're only analysing a month of the year. However, it has been a difficult start to the season, a month full of inconsistency. For me, that has been the real headline when talking about Barnsley and their opening month of the campaign. Defeats to Derby, defeats to Wycombe and Plymouth as well. Some heavy defeats in there as well. 3-0 home defeat to Wycombe really wasn't that pretty. Look, there are some positives. It's not been a sort of a month full of negatives. I am highlighting those in a little bit more detail there. But in terms of positives, there have been some. They have won games of football so far this season. However, like I say, the sort of competitivity of this division is only getting harder. It feels like it's only getting harder year on year. I mentioned it in my predictions episode. Sides like Peterborough, Barnsley, it's not quite as easy as it was last time they were in this league because we've got, you know, other sides, Pompey, Ipswich, we've already been speaking about. Teams like, again, Bolton, who have heavily backed by their owners, certainly have the ambitions from their fan base, and again, some quality players in there as well. It's not as straightforward as some people might think, and for that reason, I feel as though maybe a little bit of naivety might be creeping in. And of course, Michael Duff is a brand new manager. He's getting used to surroundings at Barnsley and trying to sort of get his foot through the door and trying to really install his playing style in the way that he wants his Barnsley side to play. All of that must be taken into consideration. For that reason, though, I'm still looking at that month and I'm going, it's been tough. There have been some worrying moments within that August. I'm going to still stick them in that poor month tier. They could arguably go an average start, but for me, they're going to go in that tier there. So Bolton Wanderers next. And look, it hasn't been an exceptional start to the season, but so much to build on. Still plenty of time to reach those ambitions of getting into a serious promotion push. Struggling in the finishing department for me is what I've written down. Look, they have got the creativity. They've got some brilliant players that are very creative. However, in terms of that finishing final third department, are they struggling and lacking a little bit? For me, I think they are. They've got Dion Charles, a brilliant number 9, of course, in Dion Charles. Last season, scored a lot of goals since moving from Accrington to Bolton in January. This season, of course, he's only just got back, really, when it comes to fitness. Have they got somebody else they can rely on as that number 9? I'm not sure. Maybe on deadline day. I'm recording this on deadline day. Could they go and bring in another number 9? That can really sort of finish the dinner, because that for me is a little bit of their downfall. They've got the creativity, like I said. It's about finishing those chances off and winning games where they might be, let's say, dominating but not able to take those chances. 5 goals scored, 5 goals conceded. When we look at the month of August, it's average. Still be looking to improve it. There are still aspects to improve on when looking at that stat there, but ultimately it's not bad. It's fairly average. Still plenty of time. For me, that's the big headline when I look at Bolton. Plenty of time to improve. Look, it hasn't been off the flyer, top of the league at start to the sort of campaign. They're not really competing with Ipswich and Pompey right now at the moment when it comes to points tally. But like I say, it's 1 month, it's early doors, so much still to do. And deadline day could be really important for them, because I do feel as though they are lacking in that number 9 department. For me, I'm going to put them in that will take that category. Some people might be saying lower. I think there's some really good underlying positives there. I'm going to put them in that tier there. So Bristol Rovers next then. For me, they've done sort of how I would have expected them to do after their promotion back into Sky Bet League One. They are winless in their last 3, which is a little bit of a concern. Their defeats to Forest Green, Barnsley and Portsmouth so far this year. Barnsley, Portsmouth, not really too much to worry about. I don't think I expected too much from Bristol Rovers in those games. Forest Green, though, a little bit of a blow on the opening game of the season. But since then, wins against Oxford United, a very good win against Oxford United, a great home win for them. That's going to be a real positive. Sort of how I expected them to start the season, how I expected them to sort of be competing so far this year. It's been a fairly decent start for Joe Barton's side, and for that reason, I'm going to put them in the average start tier. Maybe I could have put them higher. They're quite at the top end of average start because, again, they are a newly promoted side. You do sometimes forget that because they have been quite a usual visitor in Sky Bet League One over the past few years, and even higher than that. So, look, I'm going to go with average start. I could be a little bit harsh when it comes to that. So Charlton Athletic next then. For me, how do we analyse Ben Garner's opening month as Charlton gaffer? For me, they had a good window and they're having a really good start to the season. There is room for improvement. Some disappointing draws against Cambridge and Accrington will feel like a little bit of a letdown. Some late goals in there as well. Some missed opportunities and missed chances within those games. That'll be an area they do need to improve on. But we look at last season, there has been some serious improvement. Last year, not very good going forward. The start of play wasn't great. Some poor results within there as well, finishing about 12th in the league. It was not a Charlton season to write home about. This year, new manager, new philosophy, new playing style, much better on the ice, certainly getting some better results as well in the mix early doors of this campaign. It's been a really, really good month for them as well. Some brilliant wins against Plymouth and Derby, 5-1 against Plymouth. I mean, that's exactly what Ben Garner wants to see from his side. For me, it's been a really, really good start to the season for Charlton, and for that reason, I'm going to put them in that will take that category. It could be higher, maybe, if I'm being a little bit too nice, but I'm going to be harsh. I think I'm being fair. Let me know, Charlton fans, in the comment section down below. For me, I think they'll take that. That's exactly where I'm going to put them on this tier list now. So Derby County next, and look, things are really looking like they're going to click and gel at Pride Park. 4 games unbeaten as of recording, only conceding 3 goals so far this year, only scoring 5. So going forward, maybe that could be the area to improve. But defensively, looking really, really good. Like I say, a lot of new players coming in during that transfer window. However, like I say, I feel like the longer they play with each other and get to know the playing patterns and the way that each other are going to play, the better they're going to become. And if they're this good this early in the season, I think they're only going to get better. Some important wins against Peterborough and Oxford United and Barnsley as well. Like I say, the key one here is, look, they've had a lot of new players. The question was always going to be, can they gel? Can they click? How long will it take for them to really sort of gain some rhythm? It hasn't taken them long at all. And the more they sort of play and get used to each other, I think it could get even better for those Derby County fans. For me, it's been a strong start to the season. I'm going to go with the will take that category. I'm sorry you can't see them. I probably should have done a little bit better when choosing the logos, but I'm going to put them in there. You can see them just in between Fleetwood and Charlton there. So Exeter City next, and what a brilliant start to the year for the newly promoted side. My prediction of a relegation finish isn't looking great, I'm going to be honest. 9 goals in 6 games is really impressive. Great wins over Wycombe and Port Vale so far this year. So much to build on, some real positive results, and a great opening month, you'd say, when analysing that Exeter City season so far. They've only got to go in one category and they'll take that. Like I say, that could even be higher. When we look at a side that are newly promoted and playing the way they are with the goals they're scoring going forward, they look like a brilliant side, you'd say. So fluid in those attacking areas. They could be higher than that. I'm going to put them in that will take it category. But that could be harsh. Let me know in the comment section down below. Am I being a little bit too harsh on Exeter City there? So, Forest Green Rovers next, and it's been a brutal start to the season for them. Looking at that fixture list, Ipswich Town, Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth in their opening 5 games. Not just for a newly promoted side, for any club, that's extremely, extremely difficult and not easy whatsoever. A brutal first 5 games of the season. Still conceding 12 goals in 5, only scoring 4. That will be a concern. A lot of change over the summer, Forest Green Rovers as well. New manager, a lot of new players as well. Some key players leaving the football club. I've put them as poor month down here on my notes. That could be way too harsh. I'm looking at the likes of Ipswich, off to a flyer. Plymouth, good start to the season. Wednesday, looking extremely good as well. All of these sides in and around the top 6. We expected that anyway. Is it too harsh to put them in that poor month tier? It might be. I'm looking at some sides there. They're extremely tough. Really, really hard. I am going to put them where I've written them down, and that is in the poor month tier. That could be way too harsh. Let me know. Am I being too horrible? Am I being too horrible? Do let me know. But I'm going to put them in there. That fixture list, though, it's brutal. Let me know. So Lincoln City next then, 4 draws in 6 games to start the season. 4, of course, the new manager, Mark Kennedy. Some mixed results in there as well. A great win away against Oxford United on a Tuesday night. A week later, though, they got battered 4-0 by Peterborough. We know Peterborough are a top side, but inconsistency there will be a little bit frustrated. They've had some exciting and important draws so far this year, but turning those draws into wins will be extremely key going forward. It's been average for me. It's been an average Lincoln City start to the season. Lots of positives with a few negatives. For me, that balances it out. Average I go with there. Still a lot of room for improvement, but progression is certainly there on last year. I'm going to go with the average start tier for Mark Kennedy's Lincoln City side. So Peterborough United next then. For me, it's been a really strong month. 4th in the league for them so far this season. Joint top goal scorers in the division with 13 goals. A couple of frustrating defeats to Derby and Plymouth have stopped them from going in that top tier. But I do still believe they're going to be right up there come the end of the season. Like I say, a brilliant win against Lincoln City, beating them by 4 goals to 0, along with a lot of other sides they've beaten already in this opening month of the season. A lot to build on, some areas to improve. I mean, they've had a really good start to the season generally, though. I'm going to put them in that will take that category. Grant McCann's Peterborough in that tier there. Let me know, Peterborough United fans, how do you assess this opening month of the League One season for you? So last but certainly not least then, Port Vale. Look, it was always going to be a really challenging campaign back in Sky Bet League One after their promotion last year, though. It's been a really good one. It's been a really, really good one so far. An opening day win against Fleetwood, a brilliant point and clean sheet against Bolton Wanderers. Important win against Burton as well. On the points tally, technically, they are joint 11th. They're doing really, really well. Some good signings in there as well. Watch out for Jack Stevens, the goalkeeper, on loan from Oxford United. He's going to be a really, really good goalkeeper in my eyes. A little disappointing that we actually let him go out on loan in the first place. A really positive start for the newly promoted side. I'm going to put them in the will take that tier there. And that concludes every single League One club's opening month ranked when we look at this tier list here. Let me know, have I been too harsh on your club or any other clubs? Let me know in the comments section down below. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast, ranking all of the League One clubs opening month of this Sky Bet League One campaign. Let me know, leave a like and subscribe for more of this stuff. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.